Alright, one of our goals for this unit is to develop introductions that are powerful. Throughout the year, as we've written essays and we've written speeches, you've used this overall essay planner, and the second page on this planner deals with introductions. So you've done this throughout the year. I just want to make sure that you are really putting a strong hook into your introduction and that you are using a clear claim or thesis statement, you may also call it. So there are four basic parts of the introduction. You have your hook, one or two sentences where you're really trying to get your reader's attention. You have your background information. This is telling why this information is relevant, why this paper is relevant, why people should read it. And then third is the context. So this is where you're going to talk about the author or the work that the paper is about. And then finally you're going to put your claim or your thesis statement. So first let's talk about the hook, because this is really important. It's where you engage your audience, and particularly as you're giving your speech, you're going to want your hook to be very strong. I have a list here of different ideas for hooks. Some different hook techniques or lead techniques would be the anecdote, where you tell a brief story that captures the essence of the issue or the situation. So if you are talking about, say, a Bruce Springsteen song is what your paper is about, you could talk about maybe an experience you've had on the open road, or an experience, with the wind blowing through your hair and you've never felt so free. Something like that, just a brief story that captures the essence of what your paper's about. You could use a quote, a voice not your own, that speaks to the problem or the issue. So you could use a quote about the American dream, or you could use a quote about work. Maybe it's a quote from Springsteen, maybe it's a quote about Springsteen, maybe it's just a quote about your theme in general. So a quote is a way to start off your hook. You could use an item that's in the news. That would be really an interesting thing. So if you're talking about Bruce Springsteen again, and maybe you're talking about the American dream, maybe you talk about the economy right now, if the economy is going up or down, if people are in work or out of work. Maybe use a number, a statistic. So there is an information. News is often a good time or a good thing to use in your hook. Background, you could give a brief history of the issue or situation. Maybe you would say, a little bit about Bruce Springsteen's background. You could say, Bruce Springsteen, one of the best-selling, most critically regarded songwriters of all time, came out of the working class neighborhood of Asbury Park, New Jersey. And that could be a way to grip your audience. And announcement. The writer tells the reader what he or she is going to say about the issue or situation and takes an attitude. I wouldn't recommend doing the announcement. It's on this sheet, but I feel it's more juvenile than what you're capable of doing. So I'd concentrate on an anecdote, perhaps a quote from somebody else, something that's in the news, or the background of the topic that you are going to talk about. Alright, so I'm going to talk a little bit here, hook, maybe a little not an anecdote, maybe more of news. I'm going to talk about, as thousands of students around the country get ready. I need to space this out here. Get ready to don their caps and gowns this spring. They'll take part of the American pursuit of their dreams. That's worded really poorly, but you get the idea. I'm trying to write a hook, some way to connect to the audience. I figure like the audience knows about graduation. I feel like it's something that's coming up. People will be paying attention. So I wrote that in as a hook. Next up, you're going to write background information. Why would talking about the American dream be important? Well, The American dream is our national myth, or our national ethos. We organize our lives around the principle of hard work getting you to accomplish your dreams. So I would write something along those lines, and then I would come down to the context. This is, how does this relate to the piece of literature we're reading? And then I would talk about, well, in many of Bruce Springsteen's song, he tackles this myth head on, exploring the American dream and if it's truly a possibility. So I would then talk about Bruce Springsteen in that one. And then finally, I would put my claim in, the claim which we've talked about. You talk about the what, then use an active verb, and then the author's idea on the subject. So what I'm wanting you to do is I'm wanting you to create an introduction paragraph that includes a hook, it includes background information, it includes the context. Basically, it mentions the work that you're going to be talking about or the author you're going to be talking about, and then you're going to put in the claim.